This is take 3 because it's so hot here that perspiration, I don't recommend doing this when it's really hot out. And the big thing is you're modifying something that's made from the factory to look like this. This is the modification. Normally this area right here would be just rectangular right to the end. And what you're trying to do is, you see that hole in the background, I'm coming in at this side and I'm trying to stick this right down in that hole. If it's square and it won't turn, it won't go in. So you have this little piece right here where you've got to bring it up, and see, that won't go in. So you've got to turn it like this to get it in, and you can't turn it unless you modify that square end that was square. And the way you modify that is, let me see if I can get some better contrast here. Okay, I'll show you that at each angle. You can see that right there. Let's get a better shot. There we go. Okay, you can see that hook right in there, that little indentation. And you'll see that I rotated so I have a circumference right there, kind of like a cone. And the most important part is you can't take away that little nook right there. It catches on, I'm not actually sure what, but that piece right there has to hook on that. Now the stress on this thing is right here. And if you look at the old piece, you'll see that the old one is broken right there. And what happens when that breaks, you have a choice. You can tear this apart more than I have already, because this piece right here doesn't move, and that piece there can move, but you got to pull all of that assembly out. So instead, I took a square and I turned it into a circle and pinned it, so I kept the most important thing. I also had to radius this piece right here, and you keep putting it in and taking a look at it, and you, wherever you see the rub marks, and I had to radius it a little bit here, and you can see what I did there, the way that's radiused. And I did have to take a tip off of right there where my thumb is. You can see that that's a little bit of an angle, because I had to make it fit so that it would slide in there. So I'll show you this again. So you can see the little tip right here. Flip it over, you can see the radius that I took off here, the radius that I took off here, and a little bit of a radius right here. And then you can see the shape of the tip. Like I said, this was just a continuous radius. Now this area right here is all that slides to a bearing, so it should work just fine. But if you don't do it this way, then you got to pull apart that whole assembly. So what you do is you take a look and you watch me slip this in, and I go right into that part. It slides over, and then I push it in here and pop it back, and then it slides down. Well, it should slide down. There we go. Slides down and goes right into this slot right there. And now you have all the room to put the pin in, and you can see it slides forward and back, and it goes right in like it's supposed to, and that's set. So with those modifications, you pull it out. You have to pull this little release down here to pull it back, and you'll see that with those modifications done to it, you can arc it and pull it out. And I'm not going to pull it out because I just got it in there. But you just looked and saw all those modifications that I do, and then you put it right in here, and that's the way it's done. So you can see it's set there. This is a 1989 Ford F250, and by doing that modification to that piece, it's in there, it slides on the bearing. We'll grease this up really good right here, and that way you don't have to take apart. But you have to be skilled, and you have to be able to know how to grind. And if you look at each point where I ground, you have to put it back in there, and you'll see that it rubs right up here, where that piece rubbed, you'll find that it rubs right here. You'll see that piece. And then you got to shape that front. As you turn and twist it in there, you just put it in and grind it a little bit. Look where the marks are, grind a little bit more, and don't take off too much so that you have that hook that I showed you before. So that's the way to do it. And if you grind it like that and you're just patient, it could save you time. I don't know. If you're good with your hands, it's taken me probably a good hour of rocking back and forth and checking it. But you have the advantage of seeing what that looked like. So there you go. 1989 Ford F250. The ignition switch / turn signals.